Okay. Yep, audio's working. Hopefully it doesn't peace out. All right, so that's there, and then I just have to. Oh, it's already started. Okay. All right, let me just start my Instagram feed. And are we on? Looks like it. Hey everyone. Today I'm going to demonstrate some sun-kissed highlighting techniques, and we're going to do a paint-on method. So no foil is involved. Only foil we're using is just to use as a board to paint the highlights on. Okay, let's get started. I'm a little rusty because I haven't done a demo in a while, and I've been kind of taking it easy all summer. So what I like to do with a sun-kissed highlight, actually, before I even get into that, why don't I demonstrate? Why don't I talk a little bit more about what this technique is useful on? Okay, so you're going to want to use this technique for when you want to do more of a tone on tone. So when you're wanting to do something that's no more than 3 levels lighter than what your base color is. Okay, that will give you more of a tone on tone. So suitable products to use or suitable color to use when doing this would be a permanent color, say mixed with 30 volume, with a similar tone to what you're working with. So say in this case, we're looking like we're starting level is about a 3. So then we could go with like say like a level 6, maybe like a 6.1 30 volume, or even if we're wanting to use more of a warm tone, we can just go with like a level 6 and say a copper or even a mahogany if we want to have more of a fashion look with it. But something at the level 6 mixed with 30 volume. Um, Another method would be a high lift blonde. Probably if you're starting out a little bit lighter than this, so say like a level of 6 or 7 and lighter, or perhaps a clay lightener mixed with 10 volume, and then you can just tone it accordingly. And then at home users, you could use a permanent, you can use a permanent color, a high lift blonde. So what you're going to want to look for is a light shade, and somewhere on the box it's going to say high lift. And then when you open it up, the bottle, you're going to want to see on the bottle it will say 30V or 30 volume. Okay, most of the times when you look at a bottle of permanent from the drugstore, it's going to say 20V, which is 20 volume. But in the case if you're going to maybe use this method at home with a box color, look for one that has 30V on the bottle. So what I like to do first is just begin to section out the hair for the sun-kissed highlight. So it's going to be more of a partial highlight. That's kind of another word for when I say sun-kissed, I kind of mean partial. So we're going to be hitting all of those areas that are important to look like the sun did it, okay? So it's a maximum impact with less foils. So we're going to pretend, without stabbing my client in the face, oops. Okay, so let's pretend that this is the parting the client has come in with. So we're going to work off of that. So the one thing I like to do first is just isolate that by I'll tilt her head down so you can see a little bit more of the shape that I'm doing. So I'm going to want to take a crescent shape, including it just at least an inch and a bit on this side of the part. So as you can see, I go just about an inch up to the part, and I'm going to end it asymmetrically. All right, just to give you a better idea, I'm going to tighten this section up a bit. Okay, so you can see the shape slightly asymmetric. Let's lift her up again. And it includes just the part, or the front part of the part. Okay? So next thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to take my side sections, and the way I like to take them for a sun-kissed partial is I'm going to begin just at the top or just at the edge of this section, and I'm going to create a crescent shape that goes just about an inch behind the ear. So you can see that shape that's been created. So this is my side section. And then just going to repeat it on the other side here. And it's going to be just a little bit of a different shape because it's asymmetric on this side. So it's just going to be a little bit smaller. But also you can also creep up just a little bit more, say behind the part there, instead of it starting right at the edge of the section. I've just brought it a little bit into the part. Okay, so this is the other side section. When working with the side part. And here's the view from the top. We have the one side, we've got the center, and then the other side. And now what we're going to want to do is just take the side, or take the parting section. So I'm just going to start on the far side of the part here. And I'm going to determine that the crown starts about here, and that's where I'm going to end my part section. And the way I like to do it is just come down about an inch, go a little bit parallel to the part here, end your section at the crown. So you can see that part section. And then what you're going to want to do is just continue it another inch and a bit onto the other side of the part. Okay, so front view again, and I'm just going to tip her forward. You can see that the part section has been taken just asymmetrically, so it also leaves just a little bit of depth on this side where you're not going to see highlights, where these are going to just actually sit on top to give it that sun-kissed look. So finally, we're going to do our crown section, which is going to begin behind the part section. So you can even just take it there, show the view from the back. But I want to include just a little bit on this side. So my crown section is just going to be in this shape here. And then we're also going to end it just about an inch or so down below the natural whirl of the hair. All right, that gives us our crown section. So how about we begin there with the paint on highlights. Okay, just going to tilt her forward a bit. There's a little bit of previous highlights here that you can see that I'm just going to be working off of. Okay, so with the bottom of our crown section, take a slice that's about toothpick size, okay? So just a regular slice, not overly fine. And I'm going to use my Dreamweaver and then just take some weaves out. Okay, so place a foil under it. And what you're going to do is you're just going to paint your color on, making sure to be nice and saturated on those ends. And just feather up to the root. Just lay it nicely on top. Okay, then we're going to take our next section. Leave about leave about a quarter of an inch, maybe a little bit more. Another toothpick size slice. Give it a weave. And then just lay it on nice and gently. So without the foil, you can really zip through this technique. But remember, you're going to want to use some forgiving shade. So you don't want to use like a strong lightener unless you have a lot of control. Otherwise, you might get a little bit of blotchiness or inconsistent lightening. But a high lift blonde or a color mixed with 30 volume is going to be very forgivable. But when using a lightener to do a technique like this, root tapping and toning is going to definitely be your friend. So also remember just to keep that hair disturbed as little as possible as it's processing. Okay, this is the last section of the crown. I'm just going to skim the top of it. Okay, with the crown section complete, let's move on to one of the side sections. So how about we do the heavier side first? Okay, let's approach it from this side so that you can see. Because I think it's the right angle. Again, I apologize, it's been a little bit. So what we're going to do is just skim, again, like toothpick slice. So it's kind of heavy on the heavier side. I said this was a foilless technique, but I sometimes like to just foil the hairline just to keep the color off the face. All right, give it a nice good weave with the Dreamweaver. Okay, ensure that you like your separation. Very nice. And then in this case, I'm going to take a foil, place it right up, this time with the intention that we are going to fold this one. All right, forgive me, I'm foiling at a weird angle just to show you guys how this looks. Okay, and to make it easier on yourself, instead of folding it, just lay a foil on top first, then fold it. Then you can fold it again just to ensure that it stays. Oh, just let that process. Okay. All right, next layer, next section. Rub it there. Okay. And again, another toothpick slice. We'll give it a weave. Testing. Okay, I just had to change my audio on my YouTube live because my microphone died. So I don't know how long. I don't know how long I wasn't making any noise for on it. Hopefully not too long. It was just my mouth moving, no noise coming out. There we go. All right. So side section 1 complete. You can see it. You could already see sort of how it looks as it's processing. You can see those highlights in there. Actually, this is actually not real color I'm using. I'm actually just using a special product just to show how it looks while it's on the hair, but it doesn't actually do anything to it. So don't come at me. There won't be any official after shots for this. Just how it looks while it's processing. All right, are we still on camera there? Now we're going to move on to this side. So as you remember, this is the smaller side of the section. Okay, so we're going to want to make sure we're on this angle as we go up, just to not disturb this side of the section. So we'll take our first one right at the hairline. Okay. And again, I'm going to wrap this one up in a foil just to keep it nice and tidy. And also keeps color off of your face as well. Okay, so just folding it up will keep the color off of the face there. And let's just begin to straighten out our section. We're not going to go to a full horizontal, it's going to stay diagonally back. All right, and then just gently let it lay on top there. Remembering to go about 1 inch behind the ear here, just to make sure there's just no dead spots of highlight behind the ear, because that's what can kind of take away from some of the brightness around the face if you're not including hair from within this area. It can kind of make that money piece area look a little bit hollow if you don't have a good amount of brightness coming from behind the ear. And so for the Instagram viewers, if you're wondering why there's a green screen, it's just because I'll be editing this version later. And on the YouTube version right now, You see a nice background that says sun-kissed highlighting and all that, but on Instagram, you guys are seeing an ugly green screen. We're just almost to the part section. Okay, lay it gently again. So as you can see, what happened when we started to angle up is we've allowed space for this side of the section. And now for the front hairline. Top of the front. And I'll fold these away so we can see better. Now let's work on just each two sides of the widow's peak. Most people have a little bit of a separation, something that just separates the middle. So we're going to go by that. So foil on each side. I'm also going to keep this one up in the foil just to keep it off the skin. There we go. And then as for the other side, same thing. You'll notice that I'm not quite as structured with my subsections as I would be with the classic foil, where with this I would probably be dividing this into two. I would be doing that first, and I'd be doing that first, just to ensure that I'm touching the scalp. But that's part of what classic highlighting is, which is much different than a lot of the techniques that we use now, where it's not quite as important to have that precision. Okay, so that's the extent of the foils we're going to be putting in. And then just to remind myself of how the part is, I'm going to take that section out. So then we're going to work off of this side, and then we're just going to go in this direction. Okay? Let's change the angle a bit. Let's decrease our subsection size in the front just to concentrate more highlight. Let's filter down a bit. So I was going a little under half of an inch. Now we're going to be going just a quarter of an inch. Okay, so there's my subsection. And let's just take just a little bit of it out from underneath to turn it into a slice. Give it a weave. And just lay it on gently. Another quarter inch. Just skim a little bit from underneath. Got about 2 more sections in the front part. So you don't want your slices to be too fine before you leave the Dreamweaver on it. Otherwise, the highlights might end up being a little too subtle. But in saying that, you can decrease and increase your slice size kind of accordingly to how you want it too, eh? How Canadian was that? Saying A? A? Okay, so this is the last section in the front of the part. So you can sort of see those highlights as they're placed in there. Okay, so we're going to start on this side of the part. Just going to leave that out for depth. Actually, not so much. I'm only going to leave just that little bit out for depth there. Okay, so as you can see, our part is right here. So we have an inch on each side, and we're going to work our way right into it.
Okay, so take another slice. In the parting, you can use 1/4 inch sections as well to concentrate the color. I'm just working my way towards the part. I believe my next section lands us at the part here, so I'm going to skim right through it. Okay, make sure your slice is just on the heavy side. Okay, and then those are the highlights on the part. Let's turn it around. And we'll just continue on the other side of the part, and then that will complete the highlight. I'm going to tilt her forward or to the side as much as I can so you can see the top of this section. Are we able to see it? A little bit. Okay. We can see it. Actually, perhaps let's do it from the side and get a side view of this method. So to the side and forward, so you can see. All right, so that's the other side of the part. Slice it. Wave it. And paint it. Here's the last section. We're going to leave that last one in for depth, or the other side we're going to leave untouched for depth. All right, and then there you have our sun-kissed highlights that are painted on. So let me just remove the foils at the side hairline so you can get a little better idea. Okay. Okay, so as you can see, we have our front part section processing, okay. And you can see the highlights we've created on the side, just through painting it on. And then our crown section. Okay, this is how it would look as it's processing. Alright, so that's Sunkissed Paint On highlights. Thanks everyone who took the time to hop on and check it out. I'm going to be making this into a couple different smaller, shorter videos that I'll be editing. So thanks for joining. I'll see you guys later. Take care.